Hey everyone, it's Carrie from Carrie's Wreath Creations. I am here today to show you how to make an inexpensive center for your flower style wreath out of felt. So I have an example that's already made, and this is what we're going to be learning how to make. So this is made out of brown felt, and it's got kind of a little sort of loopy look. And it's made just with felt and hot glue. So the project is fairly inexpensive, and since felt comes in all different colors, you can really play around with different colors for the centers of your flowers to make them nice accent pieces to those flower style wreaths. So what you're going to need for this project, and I'm going to be, this size right here is a 5-inch center. So depending on how big you want your center to be, you may want more or less of the materials that I'm showing you. But that's 5 inches, which works pretty well for most of my wreaths. So to make that size, keep it in view here. There we go. You're going to need 2 pieces of 9 by 12 inch craft felt, and this can be purchased a number of places. I actually got this at Walmart, but pretty much any craft store will have this felt. But this is 9 by 12. You could obviously get bigger pieces or whatever, but this is what size is going to work well for what we need to do with it. So you need 2 pieces of that. You need a pair of scissors, and you need hot glue. I'm also going to be probably using some clips here to help me, and I also have these finger protectors for when I work with the hot glue. So let's talk about how to get this started. What you're going to need is to take your 2 pieces of craft felt, and you're going to need to cut it into 3 even, each one is going to be cut into 3 even strips. So you can do that 2 different ways. You can, since this is 9 by 12, you could just measure, 3 inches from the bottom and then another 3 inches, and you'll have your 3 even strips. So you could do that with a ruler if you wanted to, or you can kind of just fold over until you have 3 even sections. So I'm just kind of using my mat here as a guide. So I folded that up to where this section right here is 3 inches, and then just fold over again. And so I have 3 equal 3-inch by 12-inch sections. So then what I'll do is cut these into strips. Now you could utilize a rotary cutter here if you wanted to, or just scissors is fine, because what you're going to do is you're going to end up gluing this, and so if your edges aren't exactly even, that's okay. So you would do this on both pieces. I do have some prep work already done here just to make this video go a little faster. So I'm just showing you how you can cut this into your 3 even strips, just like this. And you would do that for the second piece as well. So I already have some prepped here, but let's just take then, so you'll have a total of 6 pieces. Now I've done 5, they're all ready to go. I'm going to show you how to do the one here, and you would just repeat this process on every strip that you have. So again, 6 total strips out of your 2 pieces of 9 by 12 felt if you want to get this 5-inch center. If you want your center to be larger, you could add additional pieces of felt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece of felt and I'm going to fold it over, and I'm going to glue it right here along the edge. So this is where you might want clips to help keep things in place, but my glue gun is very hot, so I know I am going to be good to go. I'm going to do it all in one shot here. So just run a line of glue, fold my felt in half, and just gently press down. Just like this. Okay. Now I would obviously be going through and I would glue them all first before I start doing the next step. So if you felt like you needed to clip to put the little clips on here to hold this together while you work on your other pieces, you could. I actually don't really think I'm going to need these, because again, my glue is pretty hot, and it seems to it grasps that felt pretty quickly. So it's already pretty good as far as I don't think it's going to separate as I go into the next step. So to show you what a completed piece is going to look like, so in this example, you can see at the top here is where I glued, and then I just have these little loops that I've cut. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut about Oh, it's about 3/4 of the way up, kind of until I hit where I feel the glue in there. And you can change your little loops, your kind of fringe that you're cutting. You can make these as wide or as narrow as you like. It's kind of just the look that you're going for. I found when I was cutting that I was generally doing about a 1/2 inch when I kind of looked at my mat to see where exactly I was going. But then I'm, kind of just, it doesn't have to be perfect. It actually adds a little bit of character if you have some loops that are different than others, but obviously you want to kind of keep a consistent, something a little bit consistent going here. So again, here's where I glued. Okay, so I'm cutting the part where it's folded. I'm cutting like this. Okay, so just take my scissors and I just start going, and I'm about 3/4 of the way up. That was a little bit big over there. Let me do one more. Already was a little off, but that's okay. Okay, and I'm just kind of, again, I'm not going all the way up, so you don't want to cut all the way to the top. You want these little loops in here. And I'm not really measuring, I'm just sort of going along, but it's about a 1/2 inch is generally where I'm at here. And I'm kind of just using sort of consistency as far as, where my scissors are placed in order to make sure that I'm getting sort of the same distance up to the top. Okay, so you just go along and do that. And you would do the same process on all of the pieces of felt that you have. Okay. And sometimes I'm not getting quite up as high up as I want to go, so I'm just doing an extra little bit, making sure I don't get all the way up to where that glue is. Okay. And one more. Okay. So here's what I have. Okay. And so I have the rest already prepped. So at this point, if you needed to see anything about that process again, you should go ahead and go back on the video and watch that again, because this is the one and only one that I will show. Okay. So again, your glued edge is on the top. And then once that's dried, you go from where you're folded and just cut. No, there's really no wrong way to do it. Okay. So now I have all my pieces prepped. Now we're going to start working on this sort of little rosette sort of look. So if you kind of take a look at the back of this one, we're really just widening the felt pieces around and around each other and gluing. That's really the whole process. It's pretty simple. So I'm going to take my first piece, and I'm going to be, where I want to put the glue is going to be on the part where the glue is already at on this edge. I don't want to glue the fringe, obviously, because we want the fringe to kind of stand up. So you don't want to glue the fringe. You want to, so here's my fringe, here's my glued side. So that's where I want to start gluing. And what I'm going to be doing before I get my glue out, I'm just going to be gluing and rolling just like this. It's very simple, okay? So you might want your little finger protectors at this point, but I'm just going to go for it and hope for the best here. So I'm not going to glue a whole big chunk at a time, because I do want to make sure that it's holding. And so I'm just rolling it just like that. And then maybe just pause for a second, make sure that that's holding. You could utilize a clip if you wanted at this point, and continue. One of the mistakes I made in my first one, in the brown one, I don't know that it's really a mistake, but something I'm going to try to avoid on this one, is I wasn't quite keeping the bottom here, this part, it was getting a little bit uneven, like not flat. So if you look at this, it's kind of sunken in the middle. I think you can tell better on an angle. That's not going to really affect me using that, because you're not looking at that part. But I think just for, keeping things nice and neat, I probably am going to just try to make sure that this one stays nice and even on the bottom. Of course, I say that, but we'll see what happens. So as you can see, this process it's a little bit of a lengthy one, but the nice thing about this is if you make a lot of flowers like I do, you're always looking to find different things you can use for the center. So, you can buy the pre-made centers. There's some really beautiful ones out there. You know, I've seen lots of centers that, and I do quite a few myself, that have, you know, like a corded rope that you glue onto a styrofoam ball. There's, you know, you can make some out of burlap. My goal is to do a couple other flower center videos here, and post them on my YouTube channel. So I do have some other things that I do. There's going to be a burlap one. I actually do burlap in a couple of different ways for my centers. And then also I do a few with ribbon. But this is nice because felt comes in so many different colors. It's really easily accessible in most craft stores and even places like Walmart, and very inexpensive. I believe these pieces were something like 30 cents each. Okay, so I'm just holding this because I did reach the end of my piece and I want to make sure that's nice and secure. So I'm just kind of holding on to that. And as you can see, we already have sort of a little bud going for our little felt sort of rosette center. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to keep adding on. Okay, and obviously you want to make sure your fringe is all going to be going in the same direction. Now what I would probably do, so here's where I ended my felt. I'm going to overlap just a little bit when I add the next piece just to give it a little bit of security. So I'm going to actually just going to put it right onto this new piece here, and I'm going to take this, here's where my like seam is, if you will, and just kind of put that right on there. So there's a little bit of overlap, and then just start again with the rolling and the gluing. Make sure your little edges of your little felt loops don't get stuck in the glue. So just make sure you're holding it all sort of evenly as you kind of roll your felt pieces onto the part that you already have done. Okay. And more glue. I might be going a little bit faster than I would recommend. I just want to kind of make sure I get through without the video being too long. But I probably maybe do a little bit less glue at a time and just really kind of hold it in between glue applications to make sure that it's really holding. And almost already at the end of this piece. So as you get going, I think your first piece kind of takes the longest to roll and glue. And then as your rosette gets bigger, it just takes, you know, sort of less and less time to actually come together. I would probably also, if you're using a cutting mat like me, maybe put something to protect it. I didn't get any glue on it yet, which is good. But yeah, maybe just put something down to protect your mat so you don't get glue on it. Pull these blue threads off of here. So even though I thought I was doing better, I'm still rolling a little bit off here, but that's okay. Like I said, this one came out the same. And as I got farther and farther to the outside, it was starting to get flatter and flatter. So I think maybe I don't really think I'm necessarily doing anything wrong. It's going to be fine. I'll show you how to attach a pipe cleaner at the end, so you can attach it to your flower wreath and you'll be good to go. Okay. So again, I have my part where I ended is right here, and I'm just going to overlap a tiny bit when I start adding my next piece. Okay. So I'm going to just kind of put that down right there. So there's a little bit of overlap, and then start rolling this in. So the process here is fairly simple. And at this point, we are about 14 minutes into the video. I haven't burned myself yet, which is always a good thing. Okay, almost done with this piece. Let's go ahead and finish this one off. hold the end there. Okay, I think, so you can see how this is coming together. So that's with half of our pieces of felt. So we still have 3 left. So basically you get this size little rosette out of one 9x12 piece of felt. And we are at, it's about 3 inches, so about half. This ended up being about 5. So it's just about 3 inches with that one piece of 9x12 felt with your 3 pieces that you cut from that. Rather than continue on this one, since it's the same process over and over, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to finish it off. So I'm going to use this as an example. Okay, so when I got to the end, I just made sure I had a decent amount of glue there so that it wasn't going anywhere. And what you're going to do, I'm going to use a pipe cleaner. And I just have some scrap felt. I wish this were brown, but I used up all my brown, but you really only need a little tiny piece, and it definitely does not necessarily need to match because it's going on the back. So I just cut a tiny little square here. It could probably actually be a little bit smaller. Just like that. Okay, and I'm just going to use this to help secure my pipe cleaner into place. So I'm going to glue my pipe cleaner into the center here. So I'm actually going to, I'm going to put it like right in there. So I'm going to put a bunch of glue, my little finger dabber thing, because I'm going to really put it right in there, kind of in that little divot I sort of had in the back. So I put a whole bunch of glue in there. I'm going to hold this in here. Okay. Okay, and then it's going to need a little bit more time to dry, but we'll just go ahead and I'll show you how to finish it off. Take my piece of felt and put some glue on here. And just cover that up. So it's just going to give you a little bit of security over that pipe cleaner. It's just like that. Okay. And you would let that dry, and then you could give this a twist, and obviously I'm not dry, but you wait for it to dry, give it a twist, and then you would put that right onto your flower wreath. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to reach out to me. But again, happy crafting, and have fun, everyone. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.